Fantastic. So then at that point, I will go ahead and call the meeting to order. It is 6:02 p.m. I guess that's the gavel right there. Commissioner Herman, would you mind leading us in the flag salute?
If I could call the roll before we
have a flag. Is there no flag salute? I don't. Oh, there's one. Yep. George has one in the back.
Chair, if I could call the roll.
Uh-oh, did I lose audio here? Would you mind just repeating yourself, Lisa?
If I could call the roll.
Okay.
Chair Gavina. Chair Gavina.
Here.
Vice Chair Froberg. I don't believe he's on. Commissioner Edry.
Here.
Commissioner Herman.
Here.
Commissioner Suarez.
Here.
Commissioner Arlene Ibarra.
Here.
Commissioner Melissa Ibarra.
Here.
Excellent. So, City Clerk, do we have any changes to the agenda?
Yes, we are going to move item number 1 follow item number 9. Matt, is there any way to resolve the feedback that we're getting?
The feedback, it seems, sure.
Okay. So then may I have a motion to approve the agenda to be reordered, moving item number 1 to follow number 9?
I'll move, Melissa.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
City
Please
Clerk?
state your name when you're making a motion or second.
Jorge, second.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Melissa Ibarra, seconded by Commissioner Navarez to approve the agenda reordered to move item 1 to the end of the meeting. I'll call the roll. Chair Gavina.
Aye.
Commissioner Edry.
Aye.
Commissioner Herman.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Navarez.
Aye.
Commissioner Marlene Ibarra.
Aye.
Commissioner Melissa Ibarra.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Excellent. Now we will take public comment from members of the audience. If there is a member of the public that would like to provide public comment, please click the raise hand button.
Not appear as if anyone wishing to address the commission.
Okay.
Let me just make sure that no one's having technical difficulties. Yes, we do have a hand raised. IT, if you could allow Diana Gonzalez to speak.
Sure, no problem.
Thank you.
All right, she's being prompted.
Mute. Okay. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
I can hear you.
Okay, so I have a lot of things. I don't know where to start off. I really don't. My house is going to be remodeled, and I have questions regarding if I'm going to get the stove, the washer, the dryer, if my rent's going to go up. You guys are going to grant me the same things that you had promised me back in, what was it, about 2 years ago, 3 years ago, when Letitia's house got remodeled, that we were going to follow the same things. When Letitia's house got remodeled, she came back and you guys were going to give her the higher rent, and that wasn't our fault that our house hadn't gotten remodeled. So they didn't raise her rent. They didn't even raise her rent, even though she had all the appliances put in. So my question is, what's gonna happen once my house gets remodeled?
I would probably defer that question over to the city. I don't know what the policy on that is.
And I know Carlos had told me that you guys were planning on changing things on the appliances, and he had mentioned to me that my rent would go up and I wouldn't get my appliances. And I'm like, well, how's that fair? So I'm okay with not getting the appliances, just don't raise my rent once my house gets remodeled.
So if I could just jump in here for a second. So to the commission, I just want to explain that we are in the process of looking at remodeling Diana Gonzalez's home and upgrading it. In that process, it will require her to move out of the property and into another property while we gut the inside and do specific upgrades. So with that said, there would be a rent increase of about $100 for a tenant in Vernon, and that's something that we've already established. The second thing is today you will hear one of the agenda items will be on appliances, whether or not we want to continue to give appliances to new residents that enter into homes. So that's something that still hasn't been determined, and we'll have a final outcome from the commission at that point.
Can I speak after you guys go into that, or I have to say everything now?
City Clerk?
Can address the commission at the time that item comes up. I believe it's the item 7, the appliance policy.
Okay, so I could comment as we go along.
Yeah, you would
Okay.
just raise your hand again when we get to each of those items that you're looking to comment on.
Okay, I'll do that. So, well, all right, I'll do that then.
Hey, thank you for your comment, and we'll look out for that when we reach I think item 7. So, are there any other public comments at this time?
It does not appear so. Let's give everyone just a minute. This is a new process that we're allowing the public to speak with the raise your hand feature. So we're all trying to figure this out. If anyone else that's viewing as an attendee would like to speak, there's a raise your hand button down at the bottom of your screen that you should click on. Looks like we're okay to proceed.
Okay, thank you, City Clerk. So then we will now go to the consent calendar. All matters listed on the consent calendar are to be approved with one motion. Items may be removed from the consent calendar by any member of the commission. Those items removed will be considered immediately after the consent calendar. Does any member of the commission wish to pull any items from the consent calendar? No. Any public comments regarding the consent calendar? And I will wait for you, City Clerk, to confirm that we're okay on the technical end.
I do not see anyone raising their hand to speak on the consent calendar.
Okay. In that case, may I have a motion for consent calendar item numbers 2 through 4?
I'll motion to accept the consent calendar items 2 through 4 on the agenda.
Thank you. May I have a second?
I'll second.
I happened to catch who it was this time, but if you could just say Commissioner Herman moves before you do it, so I can, in case I'm not looking at this. Thank you. So a motion by Commissioner Herman, seconded by Commissioner Edry to approve the consent calendar. I'll call the roll. Chair Gavinia,
Aye.
Commissioner Froberg. I'm sorry, he's not here. Commissioner Edry,
Aye.
Commissioner Herman,
Aye.
Commissioner Navarez,
Aye.
Yes.
Commissioner Marlene Ibarra.
Aye.
Commissioner Melissa Ibarra.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, excellent. Now we will go to new business.
Item number 5 is City Housing Quarterly Report, and Public Works Director Wall will present the item.
I'm going to share my screen with everybody. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, excellent. So the quarterly report, and this is for the quarter from September through November. So a little photo of us at our last meeting. It was the special meeting held on October 14th, where we toured the properties. So here's an overview of my presentation this evening. I'm going to go over the rent register, going to talk about the rent increase, going to talk about the occupancy of our units, going to discuss the inspections that were recently conducted. I'm going to talk about our advertising to attract new tenants, and I'm going to summarize it. So our rent register. With the exception of one unit, all of our rents are current. With that one unit, the city is undertaking a COVID-19 compliant notice process, and if needed, the commencement of an eviction process. This is for a tenant that currently has an outstanding balance of $7,696.61. Again, all other tenants are up to date with their rent. Rent increase. Rent increase notices were mailed on November 9th, and this increase is for a CPI-based increase of 1.1% that's applied to all month-to-month occupancies, and this rent increase will take effect on January 1st, 2021. Reminder notices are scheduled to be sent out on December 15th. Occupancies. On the Furlong block, we have 10 properties. 9 of them are occupied. 1 of them is currently unoccupied, and that's the property that we're holding vacant for Diana Gonzalez. When remodeling work is done on her house, she will be temporarily moved into 4324 Furlong. 50th Street Apartments, all 8 apartments are currently occupied. Fruitland, we have the 1 vacancy there. That's going to be part of the lottery this evening. And then on Vernon, we also have a vacancy, and that is also going to be part of this evening's lottery. Inspections. We conducted inspections this past November, and the last safety inspections prior to this that were performed for the housing units were in February and March of 2019. The report from that inspection was presented to the Housing Commission on March 13th, 2019, and there had been an inspection scheduled for April of 2020, but those inspections were postponed due to COVID-19 concerns. Again, this past November, all occupied units, with the exception of 2, were inspected, and no major safety concerns were found. What we inspected for was we looked at plumbing, we looked at electrical, we looked at HVAC, we also inspected the general condition of the homes. The most common defect that we found was actually missing or damaged window screens. We did find a couple of plumbing issues, the sinks that needed to be reconnected, that kind of thing. No major concerns, though, as far as the condition of the properties or for any safety reasons. And our next safety inspections are scheduled for May or June of 2021. Advertising. So our quarterly advertising for this quarter was we advertised on the city website. We advertised City Hall bulletin board and also on Craigslist. The Chamber of Commerce sent out an email to highlight housing opportunities that were here in Vernon, to the business community. And here's a copy of that email. And it included a flyer for the 3-bedroom house on Fruitland. Then we also did a generic campaign. It's our Got Housing campaign, which you can see on the upper right of this screen. This Got Housing campaign, we put flyers on bus stops. We had social media that went out for it. And we also did direct outreach to the 11 largest employers in Vernon. Number one employer in Vernon is Fashion Nova, and we contacted the other employers as well, and we sent stacks of flyers to their HR departments to distribute among their employees. This generated, we have 31 people who are in tonight's lottery on the basis, in large part, of the advertising from the Got Housing campaign. We also have 2 housing transfer requests that are going to be part of tonight's lottery. In closing, Public Works actively manages City of Vernon-owned housing. We're mitigating COVID-19 financial impact, and we've maintained a proactive, legally compliant humanitarian communications with our tenants. We refurbish housing as it becomes vacant. We fill vacancies. We're performing biannual property inspections, and we're managing our properties within budget. This concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Director Wall. Does the commission have any technical questions for staff?
Yeah, I have a question. On the outstanding balance of $7,600, have you guys been working with them, or did you guys ever get a hold of the renter at that location?
So there's been a lot of communication with that renter, but it's always been one way. He has not been very responsive. And in the notices that we've recently left with him this week, it does explain the process for seeking COVID relief. Again, we're providing that to him, and he hasn't reached out yet, but it's kind of early, so he has a period of time to reach out to the city.
Okay. And then I noticed that you're missing the call logs. Like, you know, I know in the past we've seen how many calls were called in per month, how many were maintenance, repairs versus questions. How's that going?
So we have not received, we've received a mixture of call logs. So we received the normal, you know, tenant is calling, locked themselves out, or the wind has slammed their door, broken a window, that kind of thing. We've gotten a lot of inquiries about housing opportunities, though, and that's due to our direct outreach. And we can provide a call log going forward with that information if you'd like to review it.
I'd like to see that. And then
Okay.
on the inspections, you said there were exceptions of 2 units. What were the exceptions?
We just have not been able to schedule a convenient time. One of the tenants was exceptionally worried about people entering into the residence during COVID. And then another one, we just haven't been able to schedule a mutually convenient time for the inspection.
Okay. And that's it. Thank you.
Any other commissioners have further questions for staff? Are there any public comments for the staff regarding number 5?
If you are an attendee, please use the raise your hand button if you would like to speak on this item. Chair, I think we're okay to proceed.
Thank you, Lisa. In that case, can I have a motion to receive and file the City Housing Quarterly Report?
I'll move.
Is there a second?
Commissioner Herman, I'll second.
Motion by Commissioner Melissa Ibarra, seconded by Commissioner Herman to receive and file the report. Chair Gavinia? Chair Gavina,
Sorry, still muted. Aye.
Commissioner Edry,
Aye.
Commissioner Herman,
Aye.
Commissioner Navarez,
Aye.
Commissioner Marlene Ibarra,
Aye.
Commissioner Melissa Ibarra.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 6 is city-owned housing applicant appeal process, and Public Works Director Wall will present the report.
All right. When someone wins the housing lottery, they complete a standard application form. And when the form is submitted, Public Works staff conducts a standard background and credit check to confirm each applicant's suitability to become a lessee. Everyone over the age of 18 that wishes to either be a lessee or an authorized occupant is subject to a criminal background check. Background checks screen for felony convictions and whether the person is a registered sex offender. In accordance with the VHC lease-up procedures for new tenants, a felony conviction or being a registered sex offender disqualifies a person from being a lessee or an authorized occupant. Everyone that wants to be a lessee is also subject to a credit check. Public Works staff verifies the prospective lessee's income and reviews a credit report that's provided by a third-party vendor. Income and credit scores must meet minimum standards, and the credit report must not contain negative activities such as judgments and accounts in collection. If a prospective lessee does not meet the minimum credit score or minimum income level, is otherwise in good standing and determined to be a good candidate for a lease, the person may be offered a lease if he or she is able to present a qualified cosigner who executes a personal guarantee. Based on information collected from the background check, income verification, and credit check, Public Works staff, independent of any other department, uses its best judgment to determine if a prospective lessee is a good candidate for a lease. Recently, there was an applicant that was denied a lease based on Public Works review of the information obtained through our process. Public Works then consulted with the city attorney to verify that Public Works had properly followed all VHC policies and procedures. The applicant stated that she wanted to appeal Public Works' decision, but there is currently no procedure for appeal. So going forward, would the commission wish to entertain a discussion of a potential appeals process?
I mean, it's a bit of a question for the city attorney, but we're not really adjudicators or an appellate body of any kind, right? That's out of our jurisdiction.
Sorry, can you hear me?
I can hear you now, yes.
Okay. It would be more as an administrative function, certainly not in a judicial
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes?
Yes, I believe that's Commissioner Froberg joining us.
Yes, I'm joining on the phone.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Sorry, Zaina.
Oh, no, that's fine.
Sorry about that. Go ahead.
No problem. The commission could obviously do any number of things in order to entertain an appeal. It could be an administrative appeal at the staff level, or it could be an administrative hearing that's a little bit more formal before the commission. It's discretionary, and it can be set up in any number of ways.
Has this issue previously arisen in the city's history of, being a landlord?
I would defer to Public Works or admin on that. Not to my knowledge. I don't think that there has been an appeal of a denial of an application in the almost 8 years that I've been here.
So as I'm aware of, we've never had an appeal on a denial of a lease from any potential tenant. So this is the first one of its kind.
It's also probably unusual, I imagine, in the majority of landlords are in the private sector, obviously. So there's no appellate process that I can think of where a private landlord would have some sort of formal, situation for rehearing an applicant's process. I guess as long as my initial take would be as long as the existing process is obviously neutral and non-discriminatory and checks all the boxes. I don't know if an appellate process, would further the landlord function that the city is trying to engage in here.
Yes, it is functioning, and I don't really see how instituting an appeals process would make our current process any more transparent than it is. So, especially when we get into the areas of credit and somebody's suitability for a lease, as long as our criteria are established, and they are, I would think that bringing that information forward in a public setting probably isn't desirable for any of the parties.
Yes, that would be, it would be, I think, administratively a little bit difficult to discuss someone's creditworthiness in a public forum without going into closed session. And I don't think there would be a closed session category that would cover something like this.
And those criteria, are they public? Like, do applicants know a required credit score cutoff or anything, or it's just the city sort of has it and moves forward as needed?
So as far as income goes, which a very standard rule of thumb that's used in Southern California is income has to be equal or greater than 3 times rent. And for credit score, we're looking at a cutoff of 640. And we're also looking for there to be no bad marks on somebody's credit. So that's the thing. So if someone's in collections, if somebody has judgments against them for unpaid debt, that's really a black mark. And that's something that would stop us from wanting to lease to that person, even if they had co-signers, that kind of thing.
It's also safe to say that it's at the risk of the city, right?
Yes, it is at the risk of the city. Yes, it's very difficult to remove a tenant that decides to stop paying. As you saw from the presentation, we have someone that owes us nearly $7,000. So we have to be very cautious who we rent to.
I mean, my take on it would be that there's no need to move forward with instituting an appellate process, given that we have clear-cut criteria. They're being applied equally to everyone, regardless of any not prohibited discriminatory classes. And as long as we're all on the same page, then I'll open it for public comment.
And my take on this is, after reading it as well, is that as long as we are legally compliant and we're transparent and we have more than one person applying for a new home, it seems like we should be in good shape either way. I also agree there should be no reason for an appeal process.
Are there any public comments on item number 6, the applicant appeal process?
Again, for our attendees, if you would like to speak on this item, please use the raise your hand button and we will make sure you have the opportunity to speak. I I think we are okay to proceed.
Okay, so in that case, I would move that we, how do we phrase this? I guess instruct the city staff to not move forward with the establishment of an appellate process. And may I have a motion that we tell city staff not to move forward with establishing an appellate process?
I'll make that motion. Commissioner Navarez.
Is there a second?
Marlene Ibarra, second.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Navarra, seconded by Commissioner Marlene Ibarra to not proceed with an appeal process. I'll call the roll. Chair Gavinia,
Aye.
Vice Chair Froberg,
Aye.
Commissioner Edry,
Aye.
Commissioner Herman,
Aye.
Commissioner Navarez,
Aye.
Commissioner Marlene Ibarra,
Aye.
Commissioner Melissa Ibarra.
Before I vote, just because we took away the discussion after the motion, just to be clear, on our policies and procedures, do we need to change anything about the appeal process? Staff?
There is no appeals process in our, there is no appeals process currently.
Okay, then aye.
Motion carries. Item number 7 is appliance policy, and Public Works Director Wall will present the report.
In California, appliances such as stoves and refrigerators and dishwashers are considered amenities, and so their absence from a rental unit does not make the property uninhabitable. In the Los Angeles area, stoves are generally provided with rental units, and refrigerators are sometimes provided. When appliances are provided by the property owner, it is to make the property more attractive to prospective residents. Also, some landlords say that they apply larger appliance to prevent damage from occurring to the property with appliances being moved in or out of the property. With the exception of 2 homes on Furlong Place, which do not have any city-provided appliances, and the newly remodeled house on Fruitland, which only has a dishwasher and microwave, all city-owned housing comes with all appliances. Since existing appliances were provided with the property, they must be maintained by the city until there's a change in tenancy or in the lease. And it's because these appliances are called out in the lease as being city property, and so they are a condition of the lease. The average cost of providing and maintaining appliances over the past 3 years has been less than $5,000 per year, and changes to the policy have an incremental impact on cost one way or the other. And may make the properties a little more difficult to rent. This concludes my report.
Thank you, Director Wall. Does anyone have any texture as to how we arrived at this kind of piecemeal? It looks like some units have some appliances, some units have other appliances, some units have no appliances. How did we get to here?
When we were touring the housing and we looked at, I believe, the one on Vernon, it's a beautiful home, nice big front yard, nice big backyard. And I noticed the appliances, all stainless steel. So I brought it up as to why are we continuing with the appliances? I mean, I think they're getting a very good deal for renting it. And to continue furnishing the housing with all these appliances, I think didn't make sense, and it's something we could probably cut out.
What I could give you as background to it, Frank, just because I've been part of everything since 2000, even I think 2010 when the commission was put together. The houses that were remodeled before 2010, those had appliances included. The commission at that time decided to keep the appliances as is. So whatever housing units had a city-owned appliance, they stayed in-house. But about 3-4 years ago, when we were discussing the remodels of the final 7 houses that never got remodeled, the discussion was, should we keep the appliances and is it worth it? That's the reason why the commission at that time decided to keep the appliances. When we were discussing the rent increases with the appliances, it was a very minimal cost to the rent. So you have to remember when the houses were in 2010, the houses were rented at $100 for the 1-bedroom apartment. I think it was like $200 for a 2-bedroom apartment or house and $300 for a 3-bedroom. So when we implemented the rent increases, they've discussed it along with the appliances, and the appliances were very, very minimal, like $10 a month, adding it to the rent or something like that. So they decided to keep the houses. But 3 years ago, that was a discussion, and the commission at that time, during the remodel, established the rents, which we're going to discuss, I think, on maybe it's this one, that they were going to keep the pricing in there for the appliances. Okay, so we are, I'm trying to think right now, going forward with the houses that are not remodeled, the decision is on us whether we should keep the appliances. But the increase on the renting on the remodels was increased because of the money the city was putting into each house. City was putting into probably about $300,000 to remodel a house. So commission at that time wanted to get some money back as we remodeled. When the residents move out, then your house increases to market value, which is the current, I think it's $2,000 for that 3-bedroom and so on, goes lower from there. So that's where all this came from, was on the appliances. So appliances were given before 2009 remodels, after, and then just started again right now recently, about 3-4 years ago. But Dan should be able to give you that price from a staff report from a couple of years ago.
And this figure of $5,000, I see that it says it includes appliance replacement, repairs, maintenance. We have done some remodeling over those past 3 years, so that's also including the acquisition of new units for remodeled units.
We haven't done that many remodels, and so it does include, yes, it includes the appliances in those remodels.
No one has a crystal ball, but do you foresee that figure changing substantially in the future?
I don't. I mean, refrigerators have a life of at least 10 years, and so if we're looking at maybe $2,000 a refrigerator, that's $200 refrigerator cost, and multiply that by the number of units with 28 units. The odds of them all failing exactly at 10 years. Stoves probably last 20 to 25 years. We buy good quality appliances, so we do maintenance on them, and as part of our biannual inspections, we're actually going to step up our maintenance to make sure that our appliances have a longer life. So I really don't see it moving too far north of the $5,000 mark.
Yeah, and you mentioned that the refrigerators last about 10 years. Now, I know the majority of these houses have had those refrigerators, and it's going on 10 years or so. How are they working right now? Are they still upkeep? And
so we've had a replacement in this last year for a home on furlough. That is the only occupied unit